Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really digging into someone whose career is just, well, it's a perfect snapshot of modern celebrity, isn't it? Blake Lively.
Absolutely. We're tracing her whole path, from that teen drama icon status,
Right.
all the way to being an A-list director, a business owner, and now right in the middle of this huge, really complex legal battle.
Yeah, that legal situation is definitely dominating things right now. And that's critical to what we're doing here. We're looking at Blake Ellender Brown, born 87, so she's 38 now. Known professionally as Blake Lively, of course. And she's built this profile that's so much more than just acting.
It really is. Hollywood leading lady, sure, but also producer, entrepreneur, Betty Boos. We'll get into all that.
And, I mean, getting named one of Time's 100 most influential people in 2025, that says a lot.
It really does. It underlines her reach, her influence way beyond just the film set.
So that Time 100 mention really sets up our mission for this deep dive. This isn't just, a quick look back.
No.
We need to properly dissect the big phases of her career, from Gossip Girl, obviously, through to her directing work.
And then, crucially, provide a really clear, totally impartial, and detailed breakdown of this legal fight around the 2024 film, It Ends With Us. That's key.
Impartial is the word. We have to stick to the facts, the claims from both sides.
Exactly, because what we're really examining here is, the evolution of influence itself. How does someone go from being hired talent to someone calling the shots creatively, launching companies, and then having to navigate this kind of, very public, very modern legal crisis?
It's the playbook for the modern multi-hyphenate star, as you said. Ambition, control, and now controversy. Okay, so let's start at the beginning, because for Blake Lively, getting into entertainment wasn't really a choice, was it? It was just the family business.
That's the perfect way to put it. Born in Tarzana, Los Angeles, grew up right inside the industry bubble.
Her parents were deeply involved.
Very much so. Her mother, Elaine Lively, was a talent scout, so she knew the business side. And her father, Ernie Lively, was an actor.
And Lively is the stage name, right? She's born Blake Brown.
Correct. She took the Lively name from her mother's side, kind of aligning herself with that existing industry connection from the start.
And it wasn't just her parents. The whole family was in it.
Pretty much. All her siblings, older brother Eric, half-siblings, Lori, Robin, Jason Sooner, they all worked in entertainment in some capacity.
Wow. So it really was the family trade.
It absolutely was. And that led to this really unconventional upbringing people talk about.
The acting classes story.
Yeah. Instead of hiring babysitters, her parents would just bring her along to the acting classes they taught.
Which is kind of amazing, actually.
Right? And she said herself that it helped her learn the drills, pick up the techniques, gain confidence just by being there, watching it happen over and over.
Like learning a language through immersion. She absorbed the craft before she even knew she wanted it.
Exactly. Because initially, she wasn't aiming for an acting career at all, despite being surrounded by it.
She had other plans.
Yeah, she talked about wanting to go to Stanford University. Acting wasn't the goal.
So how did the acting actually start professionally?
Well, her very first role was tiny. A bit part in a film called Sandman back in 1998. She was only 10.
Directed by her father, right?
Yep. So more of a family thing than a real career move.
Okay, so fast forward to high school. She wasn't just coasting, was she?
Not at all. Graduated from Burbank High in 2005. And she was, super involved, class president.
Really?
Yeah, cheerleader, part of the championship choir. Very high achieving.
So the shift into acting must have felt quite sudden then.
It seems like it was almost accidental. The story goes that during one summer break, her older brother Eric convinced his agent to send her out on a few auditions, just to see.
And that just to see turned into...
The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, Bridget, 2005.
Wow. Talk about a break.
Huge. She filmed it between her junior and senior years of high school. Suddenly, she's part of this big, successful ensemble film with other rising stars.
And that film really resonated with audiences.
Oh, definitely. It earned her a Teen Choice Award nomination right away for Choice Movie Breakout Female.
So you have this path suddenly diverging, Stanford aspirations on one side, immediate Hollywood success on the other.
Precisely. And that kind of sets the stage for the ambition and maybe the internal conflict we see throughout her career.
All right, so that period, say 2005 to 2012, that's when she really takes that initial success and builds on it. She becomes more than just that girl from Sisterhood.
Yeah, she solidifies herself as a crossover talent. She didn't just sit back. Straight after Sisterhood, she did Accepted in 2006.
A college comedy with Justin Long.
That's the one. The movie itself Didn't get great reviews, critics weren't kind.
But her performance stood out.
Apparently so. Hollywood Life gave her a breakthrough award for it. So even in weaker material, people were noticing her screen presence, her charisma.
And then she took a sharp turn with Elvis and Annabelle in 2007. That sounds like a much heavier role.
It was. She played Annabelle, who's a beauty pageant contestant struggling with bulimia. A really dark, challenging part.
And that required a physical commitment too, didn't it?
It did. She talked quite openly about having to shed serious weight for the role. And she made this comment about how hard it was because, food was the #1 love of my life.
Which is relatable, but it shows that early willingness to go the extra mile for a role, not just rely on looks.
Exactly. It signaled she was serious about acting, willing to transform herself. Important groundwork, because what came next was just astronomical.
Gossip Girl.
Gossip Girl. 2007. Serena Woodsen. It just exploded.
Defined a whole era of TV, fashion, everything, turned her into a massive star overnight.
But getting that role involved a bit of drama itself, tied back to her initial plans.
Ah, the Stanford conflict again.
Yeah, she'd already deferred for a year, and she was apparently ready to turn down Gossip Girl to finally go to college.
So what changed her mind?
A promise from the producers. They apparently told her she could attend college part-time while filming.
Let me guess. That wasn't in writing.
Bingo. She accepted, based on that verbal agreement. And, of course, once the show became a huge hit,
the part-time college plan disappeared.
Completely. She later used it as a learning experience, basically saying, if they won't put it in writing, there's a reason. A harsh Hollywood lesson.
So she chose the show, the stardom, and stayed with it until 2012.
She did. But what's really smart, I think, is how she used that Gossip Girl fame. She didn't just get stuck in that TV world.
She kept making movies during the breaks.
Aggressively. Very strategic moves.
Yeah.
First, she did the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants 2 in 2008.
Smart. Lock in a guaranteed hit. Keep that audience.
Exactly. It made over $44 million. But at the same time, she was also choosing smaller, more critically respected projects.
Like The Private Lives of Pippa Lee, 2009.
Precisely. Working with director Rebecca Miller. That was a clear signal she wanted serious film credibility. And critics responded well. One review called her performance sensational.
Showing she could do more than the glamorous Serena.
Definitely. And then came the real game changer, I think, in terms of dramatic roles. The Town in 2010.
Ben Affleck's film. That was a very different look for her.
Totally different. Playing Chris Coughlin, this struggling working-class mother with addiction issues. Variety famously says she was almost unrecognizable.
High praise. They noted her fierce, pained moments. That really proved her range.
It absolutely did. It showed she could disappear into a role.
Of course, you can't escape big Hollywood forever. 2011 brought Green Lantern.
Ah, yes. The superhero blockbuster. Playing Carol Ferris, the female lead.
Didn't exactly set the world on fire critically, did it?
No, reviews were mixed to negative. But it made money, nearly $220 million worldwide. So it kept her in that blockbuster conversation.
And it had another significant outcome.
Right. The big one. It's where she met Ryan Reynolds. The rest, as they say, is history.
She finished up this busy period with Savages in 2012, Oliver Stone's film.
Yeah, she stepped in after Jennifer Lawrence dropped out, playing Ophelia or O.
What was the take on that performance?
Critics noted a kind of vulnerability. One said she played O as smart and sad, precisely because she plays O as such a broken, needy little soul, adding another layer to her screen persona.
So by the time Gossip Girl ended in 2012, she'd really done it. Bridged that gap from TV star to credible film actress.
Absolutely. And the recognition followed. Time 100 list in 2011, AskMen.com's most desirable woman that same year, People's Most Beautiful in 2012. She had the A-list credentials. She was set for the next big push.
Okay, so post-Gossip Girl, say from 2013 onwards, the focus really shifts, doesn't it? It feels like she's aiming for that top tier, the true leading lady status, carrying films on her own name.
That seems to be exactly the goal. And the film that really marks that transition is The Age of Adaline in 2015.
Right, where she plays a woman who stops aging. That's a huge role to carry. The whole film rests on her.
Entirely. She has to portray someone moving through decades. Carrying the weight of that experience is a massive acting challenge and a test of her star power.
How did critics feel she handled it? Did it work?
Generally, yes. The Atlantic specifically pointed to Adaline as the film that showed her potential as a leading lady. They liked her performance, mentioning her clipped delivery and coy restraint.
Interesting. So a more mature, controlled style compared to her earlier work.
Yeah, suggesting she developed that sophisticated screen presence needed to anchor a film like that. It really proves she could be a draw and deliver a nuanced performance.
And she followed that up pretty quickly with something completely different, The Shallows in 2016.
The shark movie.
Yeah.
Which was surprisingly effective.
It really was. And again, it's basically just her. Her against the elements, her against the shark.
Exactly. It was a huge physical and emotional performance, almost entirely solo. And the film was a hit, critically and commercially. Huge praise for her carrying it.
So she's proven she can lead a drama, lead a thriller. What came next?
Well, she seemed keen on working with established directors, kind of burnishing those credentials. She did Woody Allen's Café Society in 2016.
How did she find that experience? There's obviously controversy around Allen.
At the time, she spoke positively about it, calling him very empowering. Then she did All I See Is You in 2017, directed by Mark Forster. That one got more mixed reviews.
But then came 2018, and A Simple Favor. That felt like a moment where everything clicked for her persona, the style, the wit, the darkness.
Oh, absolutely. Playing Emily Nelson, that role was perfect for her. Mysterious, glamorous, funny, terrifying.
She was incredible in it.
Critics thought so too. Variety loved the complexity, calling the character both repellent and irresistible. It just perfectly played with her public image.
There was serious Oscar buzz around her for that, wasn't there?
Loads of it.
Right.
People really thought that might be her first nomination.
Didn't happen in the end, but the film was a huge success.
Undeniably. Culturally, critically, commercially. And the fact they're making a sequel, Another Simple Favor, coming out in 2025.
Right.
It shows she built something lasting there. A character and a world people want more of outside of the usual big franchises. That's significant power.
She followed that with the rhythm section in 2020, another tonal shift.
Big shift. Playing Stephanie Patrick, who goes from drug addiction and prostitution to becoming an assassin seeking revenge.
Not your typical action hero role.
Not at all. And that was the point, I think. Variety praised how she played the character's realistic near-incompetence in the face of danger.
So making her relatable, flawed, not just a super spy.
Exactly. It felt like another deliberate choice to subvert expectations, to choose grit over glamour when the role demanded it.
Now, alongside all this acting success, she starts moving behind the camera. This feels like the next logical step in seeking control.
It does. And she started, smartly, with a music video. Co-writing and directing Taylor Swift's I Bet You Think About Me video in 2021.
High-profile collaboration, great way to test the waters.
Perfect entry point. Huge visibility, working with a friend, and massive star, lower stakes than a full feature.
And it clearly sparked something because she announced her feature directing debut not long after.
Yes, an adaptation of the graphic novel Seconds. And getting Edgar Wright, a major director himself, to write the screenplay?
That lends it immediate credibility. Shows she's serious about this path.
Absolutely. Which brings us right up to It Ends With Us in 2024.
Where she's not just the star, playing Lily Bloom, but also an executive producer.
Right. Deeply involved in shaping the project from the ground up, putting her stamp on it.
And before all the legal issues exploded, we have to acknowledge what a massive success that film was initially.
Monumental. History-making even.
Wow.
In August 2024, It Ends With Us hit #1 at the box office.
And at the exact same time.
Her husband, Ryan Reynolds, had Deadpool and Wolverine at #2.
Making them the first married couple since Bruce Willis and Demi Moore back in 1990 to hold the top 2 spots simultaneously.
That's just incredible market power. A testament to their combined star wattage and business sense. A huge professional peak right before the storm hit.
So parallel to this acting and directing evolution, there's this whole other track. Blake Lively, the entrepreneur. And this seems to come from a really genuine place for her, doesn't it? Especially the food side.
It really does. She's always called herself a foodie and cook, and it doesn't feel like just, a celebrity branding thing.
She seems genuinely passionate, the Martha Stewart connection.
Right. Calls Martha Stewart her idol. Big admiration for Nigella Lawson, too. And she backs it up. Baked a cake with Stewart on her show back in 2008.
And she went to Le Cordon Bleu in Paris.
Yeah, in 2010. Took a tailor-made workshop. That's serious commitment, not just dabbling.
She talks about taking cooking classes when she travels, wanting to be a restaurateur someday.
So that passion clearly fueled her first big solo venture, Preserve, back in 2014.
What was the concept behind Preserve?
It was ambitious. A digital magazine combined with an e-commerce site.
Right.
Selling curated, often handmade, artisanal items, trying to capture that sort of bespoke lifestyle market.
But it didn't last long.
No. It was a very public flameout. She shut it down in 2015.
And she was quite upfront about why, wasn't she?
Surprisingly so. She admitted they launched it too soon, before the business was really ready. Said she learned a lot and planned to relaunch it eventually, though that hasn't happened. It showed a certain vulnerability, owning the failure.
But the story didn't end there. Years later, in 2025, some former staffers came forward.
Right. Allegations surfaced about a toxic work environment during Preserve's short lifespan.
That's a serious charge.
Very. Reports emerged that things got heated enough that one staffer allegedly threatened legal action and received a settlement, reportedly up to $300,000.
Wow. That really complicates the narrative around her as a business leader.
It absolutely does. It highlights that gap that could exist between the curated public image and the messy realities of running a startup, especially under the intense pressure of celebrity ownership.
So after Preserve crashed and burned and these later allegations came out, how does she rebound entrepreneurially?
She pivoted, moved away from the complex content and commerce model and into a much more scalable area. Packaged goods, beverages specifically.
Betty Buzz, 2021.
Exactly. Non-alcoholic drink mixers. Tapped right into that growing market. Smart, focused branding.
And then came the slightly more controversial move.
Betty Booze in 2023. Canned alcoholic cocktails.
Which raised eyebrows because...
Because Lively herself is very public about not drinking alcohol. Or using drugs, for that matter.
Right, so it wasn't driven by personal passion, like the food stuff seemed to be.
Seems purely like a business decision. Saw a huge market opportunity, leveraged the existing Betty brand synergy. It shows a certain ruthlessness, maybe. A very calculated, market-driven approach to brand building.
And she didn't stop there. Moved into beauty, too.
Yep. Bleak Brown launched in 2024. Cruelty-free hair care. Continuing to build out that lifestyle empire around accessible, aspirational products.
Okay, shifting gears slightly to her personal life, which obviously intertwines with all this. Her early high-profile relationship was with...
her Gossip Girl co-star, Penn Badgley. They dated from about 2007 to 2010. Very scrutinized at the time.
But the defining relationship clearly is with Ryan Reynolds.
Absolutely. They met filming Green Lantern in 2010, started dating in late 2011, and then got married pretty quickly, September 2012.
The wedding was in South Carolina, right? At Boone Hall Plantation.
It was. And that location would later become a point of major public reckoning for them.
Before we get to that, they settled down outside the city?
Yeah, they live in Pound Ridge, New York. Built a family, 3 daughters, born December 2014, September 2016, October 2019, and then a son in February 2023.
And their friendship with Taylor Swift is very public.
Very. Swift, using their daughters' names, James, Inez, Betty, in her song Betty, was huge news. Taylor's reportedly godmother to the girls. It cements their place in that kind of cultural power circle.
Okay, back to the wedding venue, Boone Hall Plantation. That became problematic.
Deeply problematic, especially as awareness grew around the history of plantations and slavery. In 2020, amidst broader social conversations, Reynolds addressed it publicly.
What did he say?
He expressed profound regret. Called choosing the venue a giant fucking mistake. He was very blunt about their ignorance at the time and the shame they felt later.
Did they try to sort of rectify it privately?
He mentioned they got married again at home, implying a private ceremony to reaffirm their vows away from that painful history. It showed a capacity for public accountability, however delayed.
A skill that would become pretty crucial as she entered the "it ends with us" situation. That ability to navigate public perception and controversy.
Okay, now we really have to dive deep into the legal battle surrounding "It Ends With Us." And just to reiterate, we have to be incredibly careful here. Stick strictly to the reported claims, counterclaims, and judicial rulings. It's complex, ongoing, and highly sensitive.
Absolutely. Strict impartiality. So where did it all begin? The film comes out, it's a hit. Then what?
Several months after the release, Blake Lively took formal action. She filed a complaint with the California Civil Rights Department.
Which is the state agency that handles these kinds of things.
Exactly. It enforces civil rights laws in California. Her complaint alleged sexual harassment by the film's director and her co-star, Justin Baldoni.
So that's the official start, a formal allegation on record.
Yes. And following that, things escalated publicly with a report in the New York Times.
What did the Times report allege?
It reported that after Lively confronted Baldoni about the alleged harassment, he hired a crisis PR firm. And the crucial claim was that subpoenaed documents, emails, messages allegedly showed this PR team coordinating a campaign to discredit Lively in the media, a potential smear campaign.
Wow, that's explosive. How did the industry react when that story broke?
And the reaction was swift and strongly in Lively's favor. Colleen Hoover, the author of the book It Ends With Us is based on, publicly supported her.
And her former co-stars spoke out.
Powerfully. Her Sisterhood co-stars America Ferrera, Amber Tamblyn, Alexis Bledel put out a joint statement. That carried a lot of weight.
What was the gist of their statement?
They said they saw her summon the courage to ask for a safe workplace. And they were appalled by the evidence reported in the Times of what looked like a premeditated and vindictive effort to undermine her. Huge validation from people who've known her for years.
Did support come from other big names, too?
Oh, yeah. Gwyneth Paltrow, Amy Schumer, Paul Feig, Jenny Slate. A lot of prominent figures voiced support. SAG-AFTRA, the Actors Union, praised her courage. Sony Pictures, the studio behind the film, condemned any reputational attacks.
Did this have any immediate impact on Baldoni's other work?
It did. Journalist Liz Plank publicly quit his Man Enough podcast because of the allegations. And maybe more significantly, other actresses like Kate Beckinsale and Abigail Breslin came forward with their own stories of set misconduct, saying Lively's actions inspired them.
So it created ripples across the industry. Okay, let's track the legal moves. January 1st, 2025 seems like a key date.
A very busy day. First, Justin Baldoni filed a massive lawsuit, $250 million against the New York Times for libel.
Arguing their reporting was biased and misleading?
Essentially, yes. Claiming the article used cherry-picked and altered communications to push a false narrative against him, a direct attack on the credibility of that explosive report.
But Lively also made a move that same day.
She did. She escalated her initial complaint from the state level to the federal level, filing an official federal lawsuit against Baldoni.
So raising the stakes significantly, taking it to federal court.
Exactly. Some observers felt Baldoni's suit against the Times might have pushed her to formalize her own claims in the federal system, a strategic countermove.
And then, just a couple of weeks later, the situation escalated even further.
Dramatically. On January 16, 2025, Baldoni's lawyers filed a $400 million countersuit. $400 million.
Against whom? Just Lively?
No. This is key. The countersuit named both Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, why bring him into it? He wasn't involved in the film's production?
That was the strategy. Baldoni's suit alleged defamation, extortion, and invasion of privacy against both of them. The implication was that the couple used their combined power and influence in a coordinated campaign to defame him, maybe even extort him.
So basically accusing them of weaponizing their fame against him.
That seems to be the core argument. And at this point, Baldoni dropped his initial separate suit against the NYT, rolling those claims into this huge new $400 million case against the Reynolds-Lively couple and the newspaper.
Okay, so a massive countersuit is on the table. What was Baldoni's actual defense against Lively's original harassment and smear campaign claims?
He laid it out in detail later that month, January 31st, filed a 168-page document.
168 pages? What was in it?
Text messages, emails, a detailed timeline. Basically, trying to provide context and evidence to refute her allegations point by point. And crucially, he argued that Lively was the one conducting a smear campaign against him.
So turning the accusation back on her.
Precisely. Framing it as her leveraging her celebrity and connections to damage his reputation. It really set up this intense he said, she said battle, but with mountains of alleged evidence on both sides.
Okay, let's get to the court's decision on that huge countersuit. Judge Louis J. Lyman ruled in June 2025.
Yes, and it was a major setback for Baldoni. Judge Lyman dismissed the entire $400 million countersuit against Lively and Reynolds.
The whole thing? Wow.
On procedural grounds, essentially. The judge ruled that Lively's accusations, the ones Baldoni claimed were defamatory, were legally protected.
Meaning?
Meaning, because she made those statements as part of initiating a legal process, her complaint to the Civil Rights Department, her federal lawsuit, they were shielded from defamation claims under something called litigation privilege. It protects statements made in legal proceedings.
So the judge didn't rule on whether the harassment actually happened, just that she couldn't be sued for defamation for making the claims within the legal system.
That's the crucial distinction. He wasn't deciding the truth of the harassment allegations at that stage. He also made an interesting comment about the New York Times report, saying the paper reviewed the available evidence and reported, perhaps in a dramatized manner, what it believed to have happened. Kind of a nuanced take on the reporting.
So where does that leave things now? Is the legal fight over?
Not entirely. While the $400 million defamation part was dismissed, the judge did allow Baldoni the possibility to amend and refile some smaller claims related to alleged interference with contracts. So some business-related disputes might continue.
But Lively's original lawsuit is still active.
Yes, her federal lawsuit alleging sexual harassment and retaliation is still scheduled to go to trial, currently set for March 2026.
So the core issue remains unresolved and heading towards a trial.
Exactly, and the legal maneuvering continues. In July 2025, a social media consultant named Jed Wallace was dismissed from Lively's case. And then in August 2025, Lively filed another motion.
What was that about?
Seeking millions of dollars in attorney's fees from Baldoni, arguing that his $400 million defamation suit was frivolous and she should be compensated for having to fight it.
So keeping the pressure on, even after winning the dismissal, this is far from over.
Far from over. The financial costs, the emotional toll, it's immense. And the final outcome is still very much uncertain.
All right, let's step back from the legal drama for a moment and look at another consistent thread in her career: advocacy and endorsements. This is part of how she's built that broader influence.
Absolutely. And her political engagement actually started quite early. Back in 2008, during Obama's first presidential campaign.
What did she do?
She appeared in a pro-Obama TV ad with Penn Badgley, her boyfriend at the time. It was part of MoveOn.org's Youth Vote initiative. So aligning herself with progressive politics pretty early in her fame.
And she's focused on women's issues, too.
Consistently. In 2013, she was part of Gucci's Time for Change campaign, did a video clip for them. That campaign was all about raising funds and awareness for women's education, health, and justice globally. Fits very well with her public image.
There's also her work related to children.
Yes, she's been quite active with the Child Rescue Coalition, focusing on public awareness about missing and exploited children and supporting law enforcement efforts in that area. It connects to her role as a mother, gives her advocacy a very grounded, serious focus.
And then, of course, there are the major brand endorsements, which really leverage that star power and style icon status.
Big time. Landing the Chanel spokeswoman role in 2011, specifically for the Mademoiselle handbag, was huge, directly capitalizing on that gossip girl fashion influence.
And she followed that with L'Oreal.
Yes. Became a global spokeswoman for L'Oreal in 2013. A long-term, high-visibility partnership. These kinds of deals are massive. They translate her cultural status into direct commercial power, which you could argue feeds back into her ability to launch her own ventures later on. So when you pull it all together, this deep dive shows just quite an incredible arc, doesn't it? We've traced Blake Lively from being this kid sort of passively absorbing the entertainment industry.
Right. The one who initially wanted to go to Stanford maybe wasn't even sure about acting.
Exactly. To becoming this absolute powerhouse, running essentially 3 careers in parallel. A-list actress capable of carrying films, a director and producer taking creative control.
And a really ambitious entrepreneur building multiple brands.
But that journey hasn't been smooth. It's marked by these moments of intense risk and very public scrutiny.
The Preserve failure and those later allegations about the work environment.
The Boone Hall wedding apology, needing to reckon with that publicly.
And now, this incredibly high-stakes, complex, and undoubtedly costly legal war over It Ends With Us.
She really embodies both the massive opportunities available to celebrities today, but also the intense pressures and potential pitfalls of that level of influence and visibility.
What stands out is that consistent theme of control. Seems like the driving force.
It really does. From choosing challenging roles early on to break typecasting, to launching her own company so she owns the product, to stepping behind the camera as a director.
And now, fighting for control of her own narrative in a very public legal arena.
It's all about seeking and maintaining control, it seems.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. We've seen her journey from that initial reluctance towards acting to where she is now directing, running companies, navigating these huge legal complexities. What's really driving this relentless, multi-hyphenate ambition?
Is it fundamentally a quest for creative control? Wanting the final say on the work she puts out into the world?
Or is it perhaps more about pursuing influence itself, building a power base that extends far beyond the traditional limits of just being a Hollywood actor? Maybe acting became a means to a much larger endgame.
It's fascinating to consider. She's undeniably achieved that influence. The Time 100 list confirms it. But the cost of maintaining that influence, defending her narrative, that's currently being tallied in a federal court.
And that original complaint, her lawsuit, is still heading towards trial in March 2026. So the story is definitely not over.
Not by a long shot. A truly compelling, ongoing story.
Absolutely. A fascinating deep dive today. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.